Hi, good morning everyone. So today we will learn about middleware in ASP.NET Core, like understanding the request pipeline component. So first thing, what is the middleware? So that if we talk about that ASP.NET Core application, that request follow some pipeline where there are several middleware ones that request come to the server and it execute through various middleware that is already there. So each middleware receive the income request, perform some logic. So what kind of logic it's performing? It passes the request to the next middleware, or it is short circuit the pipeline, means it's ending the response, the request there itself. So what we can do, we can also modify the ongoing response, and the pipeline is execute in same order in the middleware as added in Program.cs. We will see the practical example after the theory. So how the request follow? Request first came to that server and then it processed by middleware 1, middleware 2, middleware 3 and reaches the endpoint, and then from there it travel in that reverse order, like response middleware 3, middleware 2, middleware 1, and then it send response to the client. So next question, like how many types of middleware we do have? So we have inline middleware, those are very simple, and the custom middleware class, and the third is default middleware, which we will talk about. So some common built-in middleware that is already part of that .NET Core, which is, you must have seen that Program.cs has UseRouting, UseAuthentication, UseAuthorization, UseStaticFile, use exception handler, use HTTP redirection, use course, use session. These are the built-in middleware. If we won't use these into the Program.cs, it won't do that expected work. Like if we comment the code use routing, the routing won't work. If we comment that use static file from that Program.cs, our images css js file won't be served by that server. So these are the built-in middleware. So this is an example, like here we have the builder, web application.create builder, and there we are using that app.use http redirection, app.use static file, app.use routing, app.use authentication, app.use authorization, and then where we can make that custom. This is a custom middleware, and app.map controller. These are that pipeline, the middleware. And that you must have seen that app.run is the last one, because the run doesn't pass the control to the next middleware, it ended the request there itself. The important point to note here, that order of these middleware is matters. Like if we use that use authorization before use authentication, it will break the system. It's not going to work. So now let's move to the practical one. Let me create a new project. We can choose the create new project. Here let me find MVC, and I'm going to create a .NET Core Web App Model View Controller. I click on the next, and let's say middleware example. I click on the next. I choose that version framework 8, configure HTTPS. I'm not choosing rest of the things, and I click on that create. So if we go there, we can see that, okay, that use exception handler, this is also a middleware. Use HTTPS, use HTTP redirection, app.use static file, app.use routing, app.authorization. These are the middleware that we already been working with, and the .NET, once we create any project, .NET itself do. So let's take an example that in the most of the website, like while you make that for the SEO, to make them SEO friendly, what we do, that we ensure that if the user even type the URL in that capital character, we should redirect to that, make the URL into the lower character. Okay, for that, like let's say I create a folder, let's say business. I'm naming it business to make sure that like this is where we are making some class. Now I can go there and I can choose add class, and let's say to lower case middleware. So I'm ending it with the name middleware. It is not necessary, just to follow the naming convention, so that I am aware that this is a class which is implementing the middleware. I click on the add. Okay, so the first thing, like after that I created the class, very first thing I need to create a object of next request delegate. So I will write private read only and a request delegate next. Next thing, like I need to create the constructor of that class, which I will be doing that public to lower case middleware, and which I'm passing the request delegate next. It will be the name of the variable, and I'm assigning next is equal to next. So this is where we just created that a request or a object of the request delegate, and in the constructor we are requesting that request delegate will be part of the constructor. It will be passed through that dependency injection, and this is called constructor dependency injection. We will cover that dependency injection in some other class. Next thing is like we need to implement that invoke method, so where we will do public async task invoke async, and we will be passing http context as a context, and then the first thing we will be doing where request URL, because that is the thing, like first we need to do that, and we are getting the request to context dot request dot path dot value. So this is that we are taking that request URL. Then the next thing we will be doing that if not string dot is null empty or white space request URL, and definitely we will be checking if it has any character which is in uppercase. And then we will be redirecting request.redirect permanent true response dot redirect to lowercase, and then we will be returning from there itself. If this is not true, then what we will be passing the request to the next pipeline. So yeah, so what it do, that it will pass the request to the next middleware, and then it will first we pick out that URL of the request, and then we check that the URL is not empty and it has any character which is in uppercase. Then what we did it we create a variable lowercase URL, and we took out that URL dot to lower, and then we redirect to the to lower and return it. If this code won't be executed, then it will control will pass over to the next middleware. So we have completed the code, we can build that. So it's building, it succeed, then we need to go into here, and then what we need to do is app.use middleware, and then we need to use either we can include the namespace on the top, like using middleware dot business, then we don't need to, and we write to lowercase middleware. So here what we did it, we have a already pipeline which is executing some middleware. We introduce one more layer over there. So let me put the breakpoint to show you how it works. If I go there, as I said that we introduce that in between while processing